All right. Gautam spoken really eloquently about the brand and about the brand's journey and how it's diversified and grown from strength to strength. I guess I should speak from my personal experiences and also the shaping of consciousness, which is extremely important. So my personal journey began 25 years ago with Gautam calling me up and saying, you have this product and you have to be the face of this product. And I was really apprehensive because back then, speaking about sex was such a social taboo. And there were so many repercussions to associating with something like a condom brand. And I was just at the start of my career at that point of time. And Gautam said, you know, Pooja, this will take you to a level which is unimaginable. You will be so famous if you do this campaign. And then I'm thinking, famous or infamous? Famous or infamous? Which of the two is it going to be? So I asked my parents, what should I do? My father said, darling, you know how society is. You know how they will react. So if you want to go ahead, dig your little foxhole, shut the trap door, and wait for the sparks to fly. When the sparks are over, come up, and you'll be okay. My mother was so excited. She said, you must do this campaign. She said, sex is such a taboo in this country. Who is educating people on safe sex, on sexually transmitted diseases, on unwanted pregnancies? We need people to go out there and be the voice in the face for something like that. And back then, AIDS was considered a gay disease. It wasn't considered something that heterosexuals could get. There was a lot of misconceptions. So, armed with this wonderful opinionated feedback that I got, I embarked on this amazing journey with KamaSutra 25 years ago. And not only did it double my stardom, it doubled my fan following, or maybe tripled my fan following, and firmly established me as a sex symbol in this country back then, which was not very difficult to do. If you wore a bikini and looked sexy, it happened anyway. But thank you, Gautam. It took my brand, the brand Pooja Bedi also, to different levels altogether. It's something that I would never want to shake off as a tag because it's a sense of great empowerment for a woman to be sexy. A lot of people fear being sexy, at least back then. There was this whole thing about if you're a good girl, you'll wear clothes that are a certain way and you'll behave a certain way. And there's so much power and strength in being sexy, in being a woman. And in talking about sex and not just using a condom basically sex is supposed to be for procreation, not for recreation. So it's so nice that people talked about the importance of sex for recreation, which is what KamaSutra did as a brand. And it basically enhanced the experience in every possible way. And that's something, again, we need to take forward in our country because, we talk about relationships being dysfunctional today because there's a lack of intimacy in the bedroom. So thank you, KamaSutra, for constantly reinventing different tools and techniques. And now we have feathers and I think blindfolds, whatever, being launched in this wonderful honeymoon pack. And it's just so exciting. And thank you for presenting me one. And thank you for this amazing association over 25 years. And it's been a pleasure being a part of KamaSutra. And Mark, do you realize that there have been like God knows how many models ever since, but it's just you and me that get called again and again and again and again and again and again because somehow it's our ad that really created the impact. It was, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bedi. I would now request Mr. Alik Padamsi to say a few words. So there's a mic right in front of you if you'd like to use that. It's on the table there.
Friends. Is it on? Friends, as you know, I've been associated with so many brands, and so many iconic brands that, people remember for years and years, whether it's Lalita Ji for surf, or whether it's the little girl in the waterfall, and so on and so forth. But I've never had the incredible feedback that I've had for the KamaSutra brand. Thank you, Gautam. That was a wonderful opportunity we got at Lintas to create that brand. And what happened was, because for the first time in India and probably anywhere in the world, we were not talking about safety. We were not talking about family planning. We just said, well, KamaSutra means for the pleasure of making love. Nothing to do with safety at all. When that campaign hit, within a week, I was hauled up before the ASCI, that is the Advertising Standards Council, and asked Mr. Padamsi, a long table of very wise-looking men, saying, how can you say something like, for the pleasure of making love? You must withdraw that ad at once. I said, excuse me, gentlemen, but if a KamaSutra condom is not for the pleasure of making love, what is it useful for? Blowing balloons? So there was dead silence around the table, and they never asked me to come before them again. And it became history, that actually that's really what a condom is for. And the reason we created KamaSutra was really to say that most condoms in those days, particularly the Nirod condom, which is a horrible, 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 ugly thing, and men were ashamed to wear it because it looked like a, you know, what they call it, "Arey, ochi is dirty rubber, dirty rubber." And here was something that was smart and elegant, had a beautiful name, not only a name associated with sex, but a name associated with one of the greatest books in the country, the KamaSutra. And I can only say that I'm very happy to have had that opportunity. And it was Goutam who said to me, "Alec, no one else but Pooja Bedi as the girl in the KamaSutra ad." I said, "Pooja Bedi is you know, not a very well-known star at the moment. She was just starting on her film career in Bollywood." He said, "No, she's the girl. She's got everything." So I said, "Okay, we'll give it a try." And then we got Mark, who was a model at that time, very famous model. Said the pair of them took them to Goa, and the rest was history. And all I can tell you, people, is that for all the criticism I got, which I enjoyed, and people said, you know, I said, "Why are you always condemning sex? Why don't you condom it with KamaSutra?" Thank you.
Thank you. And breath. And I'm sure all of you over here have a lot of questions running through your mind. So we now open the floor to question and answer.
Because everything back then was so unstructured. You didn't know what you were getting into. So I naturally had reservations because I didn't know the nature of what was being shot. So I said, remember? So I said, okay, I'll do this, but, and I thought, how do I protect my interest? And I said, I want a no nipple clause. And there was silence, and they said, a what? And I said, I want a no nipple clause. And they said, how do we structure that in the contract? What do we write? I said, you will write that under no. I didn't know. I said, you know, maybe my hands will be across my chest, which they were. And, you know, I said, in no situation whereby there's a wardrobe malfunction in some manner, should any of this be, you know, put into print. And so that was one really funny moment, but very important moment for me. So I think the challenge, even for KamaSutra as a brand, was it was something so new going out there into the market. We didn't know what was coming up. I mean, later the British tabloids heralded it as the beginning of the sexual revolution in India, and it was, you know, it sort of went up to those proportions. But I think for us as a brand, back then, if you actually see the photos, if you read Alec's book, and he says, if you see the photographs, Pooja's fully clothed actually. He says she's wearing a bathrobe or she's wearing a trikini. You know, it's fully clothed. It's just the expressions. It's a sensuality. It's the way it was shot. It was the moment that was so special and so erotic in appeal that if you actually look at it, there's actually no skin show. And that's the most amazing challenge for the brand, to get it out there, to be able to publish it, to be able to release it in a very conservative India, and not have people be able to say, no, no, this is vulgar, this is whatever, because it was the most erotic and aesthetic campaigns that was shot.
Okay, गौतम, आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा, जिस वक्त ये 25 साल पहले आपने शुरुआत करी इस कैंपेन की, यकीनन उस वक्त बहुत ऐतराज़, बहुत लोगों ने खिलाफत करी होगी इस बात की. How do you see this? और आज दुनिया बदल चुकी है पूरी तरह से. आज you can talk about anything. So how do you, what you thought while working on this campaign, और क्या आपको इस बात का कहीं एहसास था कि इतना विवाद होगा, इतना लोग ऐतराज़ करेंगे? Or now you're the trendsetter who started all this.
Well, 25 years ago, when I was given this job to do this brand, I said very clearly that there should be no holds barred. We are going to sell condoms, we're not selling achar and chutney. And that's why when Alex and me also met, we said, let's bring sex out of the closet. People used to talk, Nirod, ek do bas, no fuss. That was the line. And that's exactly what it was. I don't think people understood, I don't think even we understood what kind of a revolution we were going to create. I remember there used to be a magazine then called Debonair. And we took the whole 23 pages of advertising in that magazine. And Debonair was the Indian Playboy type of magazine. And people never understood. But we said, might cost, I think, some 20 lakhs, I think it cost at that time. But it was a hell of a lot of money. But even Pooja charged me an arm and a leg. But
I took him and said, Goutam, you can't afford me. And he said, excuse me? I said, Goutam, you can't afford me. And he said, how much?
so it was everything we did at that time was path-breaking. And I think as a group, as an organization, we're always trying to set the next benchmark, the next level. Even today, I said, we could have been very satisfied with just doing condoms. But I think our deodorants business today is larger than the condom business. And it just shows that the power of the brand is what it is, because people actually use more deodorants than the condoms today. And that's how you make a brand actually grow exponentially over a period of time. We launched energy drinks which had some issues for FDA reasons, which is different. But I believe the energy drinks business could have become bigger because this is the only energy drink in the sexual space. We own this sexual space. What's the next thing we can do?
Okay, Pooja, what's your take on that? 25 years back, now the people who are criticizing you now might be, definitely they'll be standing with you at the moment. How do you see the whole journey, दुनिया भर के और आज आप Bollywood or the people who belongs to Bollywood always a soft targeted people.
Well, therefore the journey is successful. Therefore, if something has been met with great opposition to a great degree with us, but goes on to winning awards, goes on to winning multiple advertising awards, goes on to creating a different sensibility, opens people's minds, gets people to start talking, gets people to start the process of saying, oh, let's enjoy sex, let's bring it out of the closet. Today, if things are where they are, it's because the seeds have been sown back then. Because people started throwing the stones into the water to create the ripples. And today the ripples have become waves. So it's clearly a story that's gone from success to success.
I think it's extremely, I think, pre-1990 when we launched condoms, are you telling me people were not having sex? Of course they were. We were a hypocritical society. People were doing it behind closed doors. The problem was that condoms was a need and a requirement. And if you're going to sell a condom, you need to talk about selling a condom. There are people who are out there who are having sex, and all our research showed there was even a category of a student who we call the wallet category, who always carried a condom in his wallet. So that means the school guys were also having sex, but the fact is somebody needs to tell them there's nothing, he's going to do it in any case. Somebody needs to tell him that, if you're going to do it, but do it safely, do it with this product. There are so many things we don't want to address in life. But if you don't address a problem, we're never going to solve it.
I'd like to add something there. I'd just like to add that, if it hadn't been for KamaSutra and its amazing popularity, the population of India today, instead of being 1.3, would have been 2.3 billion.
Hello. So here. Congratulations to team KamaSutra. My question is to Mark sir. So 25 years back, the same you look today also.
Thank you very much.
So what is
That's the power of the brand.
Okay, yeah, that was good one.
Yeah, the power of the brand. It's a pleasure of making love. I think you have to enjoy what you do. I think yes, it's an extremely good brand, having used it, and the pleasure of making love. Alex and Goutam, absolutely fabulous, and congratulations to their vision. I think it's what all the youth and the elders wanted at that point in time. And it was just awesome. And well, here we are 25 years later, and thanks for all your support and well wishes.
So my question, Alex sir. Sir, when you selected both of them, yes sir. When you selected both of them, you thought that they'll be that young and after 25 years also, both Pooja and Mark.
Now, all I can say is that I did not select Pooja. It was Goutam who selected Pooja I selected Pooja's father for a play I did some years before that called Tughlaq, and I selected Kabir Bedi, and that's where he started his acting career. By the way, talking about sexiness, in that play, the opening scene, which people who have seen it have never forgotten, was my good friend Kabir in the nude in front of the audience, in front of a live audience. It looked like nude, but actually we covered it very carefully. And so he also became very famous in a slightly different way from you, Pooja. But what it is, it's really, I absolutely agree, it's hypocrisy. We have been a country that has indulged in sex shamelessly, and therefore the population has gone into the billions, but nobody ever talks about it. And KamaSutra, because number one, the name KamaSutra was a kind of a very, it was in a sense sexy, but it was a name with a lot of, shall we say, gravitas. It was talked about in, in psychological books and so on and so forth. So I think it's good that we are now, the millennials, the people born after the year 2000, the millennials in India are now throwing off the old shackles of don't talk about this, don't talk about that, don't talk about homosexuality, don't talk about lesbians, don't talk about this. And now today, we are not only free from the British Raj, but we are free from our own inhibitions. And I think KamaSutra, I won't say led the way, that would be too pompous, but I would say it was one of the things that opened people's eyes to the idea that sex is a very human activity.
मेरा सवाल पूजा जी से है, जैसे कि आजकल देखा जाए तो आज भी लोग कॉन्डम्स लेने के लिए बहुत हिचकिचाते हैं, तो उसके ऊपर आपका क्या राय है?
जितना हम सेक्स के बारे में बात करेंगे, जितना हम टैबू हटाएंगे, उतनी आसानी से लोग केमिस्ट पे जाके ये खरीद सकते हैं. आजकल ऑनलाइन भी सब कुछ मिलता है, तो दैट्स बिकम वेरी इजी. इफ यू डोंट वांट टू गो टू अ केमिस्ट एंड से कुछ देना, whatever, I don't know what you guys know how best you all ask for it. So how many of you all, by the way, I'm asking all the men here, how many of you all can openly, confidently go to a chemist and buy a condom? Put your hands up. Very hesitantly, even hands are not coming up confidently. See, this is my point. So this is my point, that even people like y'all who are educated, who are aware of all these things, there's this sense of we can't ask for it, so there's an online option. That's one. Secondly, I think parents need to start talking openly to their kids about it, because if parents talk openly to their kids about it, then you are opening the pathway for this to be acceptable. The more you're in an environment that makes it unacceptable, then your conditioning is to see it as something that is associated with shame or guilt, and it's not okay. That mindset needs to change, and parents are the most influencing factors in a child's life and can shape generations by simply just talking.